Hi, I'm Roger Pettingell, Sarasota's luxury waterfront property specialist. Welcome back to this edition of Real Talk. So here we are, it's almost the middle of February, almost Valentine's Day. And the question that I keep getting asked more and more as we head into season for me is about February to April. It's the height of our season. You know, how is it looking? What's the market like? What's the season going to be like? Is the stock market impacting your sales? What about the currency? Canadian dollar's down, the US dollar's up, oil's down. You know, everybody just wants to know what's going on. You know, I kind of like to know what's going on myself. So let me tell you some of the things that I see. I see a lot of showings, typical for this time of year. You know, I do believe that there's a little bit of a pause in the back of people's minds, and that comes directly from the stock market. The second home market typically follows the stock market quite directly in tandem. One of the nice things for us is usually if the stock market has big gyrations, we typically see that in the summer or even in that September, October time. So we're not used to seeing this volatility in the early part of the year, and I think that's throwing people. What I encourage people to do is think about the resilience of the real estate market in our area. I mean, had you told me back in 2002 that if 2 buildings hit the World Trade Center, I'd ever sell something again, I would have said you're crazy. We went through that. We went through a terrible recession a couple years ago. We went through an oil spill. We've had a year when 5 hurricanes hit Florida. All of these years have turned out to be some of the best years that we've ever had in our real estate market. So as buyers, I would encourage you, don't get excited about things that are happening in a day-to-day. Look for the long term. Remember that you don't want to be cold in Ohio again. You want to be down in Florida in a vital city like Sarasota, which is growing every day. I mean, the development isn't stopping. The new things that are coming into our town aren't stopping, and the real estate opportunities are there for you. So I would say this might even be a good time for buyers, kind of sneak in there while people are on pause. That said, we've had some really monumental big sales in our town. The smart money is definitely doing the buying. We're seeing that $1 to $2 million price range is very strong. Even anything Gulfront underneath $1 million is starting to be strong. So I'm seeing and still projecting for a very strong 2016. Try to quiet the noise that's all around you and remember, what the value is here in Sarasota, which I always like to talk about the difference between Sarasota and competitive markets like in Naples or a Palm Beach, or certainly if you got out of Florida into Chicago, New York, Toronto. Sarasota is way underpriced and I believe undervalued to those markets. So I'm looking for good times ahead. If you'd like to hear more information, see some of our Real Talks, please go to our website, longboatrealestate.com.